Good evening and welcome to Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry here with you in Columbia, joined today by Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston and Carmine Jamay in Greenville. Now, yesterday was the first day of the early signing period for high school athletes, but got some big news today, especially from the Gamecocks. Dutch Fork defensive end Julian Walker flipped from Michigan to South Carolina, and he appeared to be almost solidly going to the Wolverines. He committed back during the summer. We've got some video of Julian, and when I was out the other day to talk to him, he came over to me, and he is very tall. I'm looking up at him like I'm looking at the Empire State Building. He is 6'6", and once this young man fills out a little bit, he'll probably remind us a little bit of Jadeveon Clowney. Now, Walker's the number 12 ranked edge in the class of 2026. That's according to 24/7 Sports. He's ranked number 85 in the country, regardless of position, and is the second highest ranked recruit here in the state of South Carolina. And yesterday, Shane Beamer talked about the importance of signing guys from South Carolina. He got 2 recruits from South Point High School that has produced the likes of Jadeveon Clowney and Stephon Gilmore. Here's Shane talking about the importance of recruiting the Palmetto State.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there have been some great ones, some of the best players to ever play here that came out of that high school, and so many up there in the Rock Hill area. And for us, it always, starts in the state of South Carolina. We want to keep the best players at home, and it just so happens that, South Point's got a couple of them this year, and they got some guys that we're recruiting in future years too. So we're going to continue to go into South Point High School. We're going to continue to go to all the high schools in the state of South Carolina and do our best to keep the best players in South Carolina here in South Carolina.
And it's been a pretty good recruiting class for South Carolina. They're projected to come out with, the top interior offensive line in the class, and they definitely need help at that position. And we're also waiting to see what Landon Duckworth is going to do, 4-star quarterback out of Alabama. He committed to South Carolina, decommitted, and we heard yesterday that LSU was trying to flip him, but he's supposed to be signing with the Gamecocks, and that would be another good addition for South Carolina. Carmine?
Yeah, I always got to love when the in-state stars stay in-state, and I think that makes 7 from the Carolinas signing with South Carolina, which is amazing. Clemson now has 3 and 21 total signees in this class. One of them is Kentavian Polo Anderson, which is a great story. But let's start off because, with disappointing seasons for both South Carolina and Clemson, especially by Clemson standards, a lot of these recruits could have gone elsewhere, especially when there's money involved, agents involved. But here's Dabo Swinney on the characteristics of this 21-player recruiting class and why they stayed with the Tigers.
They bring talent, they bring character, and they bring commitment. This is a group that came here even though it wasn't as sexy to maybe come here this year. They stuck with it. And I think that says a lot about who these guys are, because they could go on wherever they wanted to go. And so they've got the talent, but they've got the character, and they've got the commitment. And that's how you win championships. That's how you win championships. But you got to have the character to repeat. All right? And this is a program of character, and I don't have any doubt, again, that this group will help us continue to be the program of excellence on and off the field that we've been for a long, long time here.
So 20 in this class. The reason I said 21 was because actually they got another commitment from a local player, but he's not joining until a couple seasons from now, and that is Trey Wembley from Daniel High School. He was a sophomore and reclassified to be a junior, so he'll be coming in a couple years, and very impressive from him. Caught 57 passes for 1,100 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns, so that's what's coming in a couple seasons. But as far as this 20-person recruiting class for Clemson this year, one of the players from here in the upstate, Dorman High School safety Kentavian Polo Anderson. His nickname's Polo because that's the brand he used to wear growing up, and it stuck, and also could be a future NIL deal. He has 265 tackles in his career, 25 for a loss at Dorman High School, and they just got knocked out in the state championship semifinals. So let's take a look at what Dabo says about Kentavian and then hear from Polo himself, along with his former now head coach at Dorman.
Size, speed, athleticism, can do, I think, probably 3 or 4 different type jobs within the structure of our defense. And so just really excited to have him join us. I think he's got a chance to help us early.
Dabo, he's a good head coach, been leading the team for 17 years, I think, and he's been building something special every year. They've been winning championships. It feels like a family, and yeah, it's just big.
I think he's a generational athlete that you get to come through your program, and just a lot of fun coaching him. He's a great young man. He's a great person in the classroom. He hasn't made less than A in the last 2 years, so that puts forth kind of the character and kid he is.
And guys, it was also funny because when Kentavian Polo Anderson committed to Clemson before actually signing, he called up Dabo and they played a game of Marco Polo on the phone because they were so excited. So that was kind of fun. But another interesting point, Kevin, that I thought from Dabo and his press conference yesterday was saying that they'll probably go more into the transfer portal than they have in past classes, which they can't really do any less of because, as everybody knows, Clemson isn't one to really go deep into the portal. But be interesting to see. I know that safety spot is one of the spots they want to fill with this defensive backfield that's been getting gashed, and we saw that even in the Palmetto Bowl for long passes of 55 and 70 yards that you just can't let up if you want to consistently win. Another interesting point was that 2 quarterbacks signing in this incoming class. So the post-Cade Klubnik era, will it be Christopher Vazina? Will it be Chris Denson? Or a couple of these new freshmen coming in to replace him? Kevin, could be very interesting for the Tigers next year.
Yeah, a lot of open things for Clemson going forward. Now, yesterday's signing day here in the Low Country, we had a few big names as well. Caden Ramsey from Cross officially signed to play at South Carolina. Desmond Green of Timberland officially signed to play at Florida. Those guys committed before the season got going, so not a lot of surprises there. The one big surprise we did have was up at Woodland High School, 4-star defensive end Jamin Pinckney, a guy who's been committed to South Florida since this preseason, and really throughout this season never really wavered at all. Had a couple of offers during the course of the fall from Florida State and West Virginia, but he remained steadfast that he was going to go to South Florida. That changed over this past weekend when South Florida's coach left to become the head coach at Auburn, and he got a big push, Pinckney did, from Florida State. And yesterday, right before he signed, he made the flip, deciding to not go to South Florida and instead go to Florida State. He told us why afterwards.
What led me to Florida State was, after the coaching change at USF and the coaching staff, some of the coaching staff leaving, Florida State was the next school up. They had great connections with me, and it was a great school. Felt like a great fit too. So like the last couple of days, it was like hectic, like real hectic. A lot of schools calling and stuff like that.
A lot of similarities between Pinckney and Walker from over at Dutch Fork. Both guys considered 4-star recruits. Pinckney, as you can see there, I'm looking straight up at him. He's about 6'4", 6'5", and needs to fill out a little bit as well, but could be a real steal for Florida State. Pinckney's head coach, Eddie Ford, told me that South Carolina actually made a big push at him over the last couple of days, but he said South Carolina just really didn't have the relationship with Pinckney from before he committed to South Florida that Florida State did, so that was pretty much the deciding factor in him deciding to become a Seminole, Rick.
Yeah, well, exciting stuff for that young man. And, all of the signees, congratulations to everyone. Now, here in the Midlands, the Gamecocks had, just a really bad year. 4-8, but we had 3 other schools that had exceptional years. There's South Carolina State under Chennisberry winning the MEAC for the 2nd straight year. Benedict, they finished 2nd in the SIAC. And they made it to the 2nd round of the Division II playoffs. And then you have the Newberry Wolves, 11-1. And their head coach is Todd Knight. And Kevin, he's a former defensive coordinator at Charleston Southern. He was there when my son was there for 1 year playing for the Buccaneers. Now, I got some video of Newberry. Again, I said they are 11-1, and for the first time in school history, they have made it to the quarterfinals of the NCAA Division II playoffs. And Newberry opened the playoffs with a big win over Kentucky State. They picked up another win on the road this past weekend at West Florida. They're a perfect 5-0 on the road this year. Now they'll face number 1 seed Albany State at 1 o'clock on Saturday. The Golden Rams knocked Benedict out of the postseason last weekend. There's head coach Todd Knight in his 17th season at Newberry. He recorded his 100th win this season. His team needs 3 more W's to get a national title, but right now he says they're only focused on the next game.
1-0. Go 1-0 right now. Don't worry about the trophy. Don't worry about the championship. Don't worry about anything else. Let's just go to Albany State and go 1-0.
Great effort, great plan. Sticking to our game plan. Everybody is not trying to play for stats or accolades or be that one person. Everybody's just trying to lock in, and we all got one goal, and that's to keep winning and take this thing as far as we can.
So Todd Knight doing a great job there with the Newberry Wolves, and that would be exciting for Newberry College and that whole town, all of their alumni, if they could bring home a national championship.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to hear much more about them coming up in the coming weeks as well. That's a big game for them coming up at Albany State this weekend. We're just getting started here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. Now, the high school football season officially coming to an end this weekend as the state championship games for the high school league kick off on Friday and then wrap up on Saturday, being held at South Carolina State over in Orangeburg. And the whole tournament kicks off, not tournament, but the whole state finals weekend kicks off on Friday afternoon, right at noon. The 3A state championship as Oceanside Collegiate takes on Belton Honeopath. And Oceanside going for their 3rd consecutive state championship this season. They won 2 years ago at the 2A level. Last year, they beat this same BHP team in the finals at 3A, and now going for another 3A state championship, what would be their 3rd straight overall. This Oceanside team got off to a bit of a slow start this season, but really turned things on. Of course, they got that big victory over Dutch Fork right before region play started, and they have just rolled through region play and through the 3A playoffs as well. Took on a Loras team last weekend that came in undefeated and had 5 touchdowns before the first half was even close to being over. So they have just been rolling through this team so far, this whole region and this whole 3A schedule so far. Great catch right there as well from Terrence Williams. Here's what the players had to say as they get ready for their 3rd straight state title game.
It means everything to me, especially it being senior year. Last game ever on a high school field means everything. Freshman year lost, hurt badly, but it feels good to get another chance to get it. But everybody got the same goal. I feel like Friday we all competing for the same thing, so
just play it like another game. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Do your assignment. Don't do anything more than you need to do, and you'll be just right.
So, Carmine, this Oceanside team is a squad that goes through the air a lot. You saw their quarterback right there, Aiden Manavian. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns this season. They do have a running game, though, as well. Zachary Muncie put up over 1,000 yards so far this season as well. So they can balance things out a little bit, but they definitely prefer to be throwing the ball on offense. Talk about what they're going to see from this BHP team they're going to meet tomorrow.
Yeah, great point, Kevin, because I think, last year everybody knew Marquez Henderson, the Clemson signee who was unfortunately later dismissed from the team after he joined the Tigers. He was the BHP star and their all-time leading rusher. I think he scored 55 touchdowns throughout his career. But this year they're without him. Their quarterback has taken the next step. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of the air game than we saw, relying more on Marquez last season. So we could get a really pass-heavy game to start the high school football state championship schedule, a high-scoring game, and BHP's undefeated, 14-0, and like you said, a rematch of last year's state title game. They definitely want to get their rematch because that 34-17 score, it really wasn't as close as that. Although their quarterback did get hurt in last year's state championship game for BHP, so hopefully he can stay healthy, same quarterback throughout the entire entire schedule, and you see how excited this team is when that was actually last season when they made the state championship, which was their first appearance in 20 years. But hey, now it's not an anomaly, Rick. Now this is just what BHP does, and so we'll see if they can get over the hump and actually win one this season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game, too. Oceanside Collegiate, they really caught my attention when they knocked off Dutch Fork. And, that's Dutch Fork's only loss of the year. And Dutch Fork, they'll be going for their 4th straight state championship and 10th overall under Tom Knotts when they take on Somerville in the 5A Division I championship on Saturday night. That's going to wrap up this segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll take a timeout and be right back. And welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We have some Gamecock football coaching news for you. Marquell Blackwell has been released as the Gamecocks running backs coach. Just got that confirmed a little bit ago, and that's the 3rd offensive staff member let go by head coach Shane Beamer, joining offensive coordinator Mike Shula, offensive line coach Lonnie Teasley. So we're all waiting now to see who's going to be the next OC for the Gamecocks, because that offense did struggle mightily this season. Time to talk some college basketball, and Carmine, we'll let you tip it off.
Yes, Rick, thank you. And Clemson men's basketball in the ACC-SEC Challenge going on the men's and women's side, and losing a very close one at number 12, Alabama. The Tigers really wanted to get their revenge after Alabama ended their great NCAA tournament run for the Tigers just a couple seasons ago, when Clemson made it as far as they've ever made it, all the way to the Elite Eight, and Alabama ended their run there. They ended their run also in Tuscaloosa last night, even though 5 Tigers scored in double figures, led by the Cat guy, R.J. Godfrey, had 19 points. Clemson was down by that same number, 19 points in the first half, came all the way back, but coming up just short. And also a heartbreaker, Rick, for the Gamecocks on your side, too.
Yeah, they played Virginia Tech this week in the ACC-SEC Challenge. It was tied nearing the end of regulation. The Gamecocks had the basketball in the hands of Meechie Johnson. He was dribbling, trying to find an opening. Couldn't find anyone, and by the time he decided to pass, it was too late. The buzzer went off, and it went to regulation. Asked about it afterwards, Meechie said he was trying to get his shot off, and he lost track of time. And then the Gamecocks lost in overtime, 86-83 to fall to 5-3. They'll host Stetson on Saturday to see if they can break out of this 3-game losing streak. Kevin?
Yeah, and Rick, that's a tough one for Meechie, because a guy who's been playing this long, you expect him to know this scenario as he's got that ball. He's got to – I'm not saying he's going to make that shot and they're going to win the game and it's going to turn the whole season around, but a guy with that level of experience at this level has to know what amount of time is left on the clock and has to at least get a shot off going forward. So that was a real bummer for South Carolina. Charleston Southern was also in action earlier this week. They were on the road for a morning game on Tuesday over at UT Martin, and the Bucks coming up short in that one, 73-56. Bryson Blaine keeps continuing to put up really good numbers for Charleston Southern, though. He had another double-double, 11 points and 10 rebounds. Luke Williams also chipped in 19 points as well for the Bucks as they fall to 5-5 on the season. They're actually back in action at home tonight, taking on Warren Wilson. Not just one guy. I'm assuming it's a whole team. Otherwise, that would just be a waste of everyone's time. We've got more to come here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be back right after this.
Well, we like to bring some of the stories you might not totally be aware of to the forefront. One of those is Newberry College football, if you're not in that area, in the Division II playoffs, like Rick explained. And now we're going to talk about the Furman Paladins in the Division I NCAA tournament. for men's soccer, and they are advancing to the Elite Eight. They're going all the way to the West Coast to play another team with Purple Power in Portland, and the winner of that game comes back to Cary, North Carolina for the Final Four. So great upstate soccer between Clemson and Furman, great traditions. And here is the send-off for the Furman Paladins just down the road here in Greenville, getting ready to head to the airport to fly over to Portland. Very exciting, and one of the great storylines in this is Doug Allison, the head coach of Furman, his 31st and final season. He's been to the Elite Eight. This is his second time there, been to the Final Four once, never won the national title, and coached some U.S. men's soccer team legends, including Clint Dempsey, who got his jersey retired at Furman just this year. Here's Coach Allison and a fan about the excitement of the NCAA tournament Elite Eight.
No, I feel like I'm in a bit of a Netflix movie somewhere. I don't know what's going on at the moment, but it isn't just me. This is a whole team effort, and I'm really proud of the kids. Proud of these kids for representing Furman University, purple on another coast.
I just know the score is going to be a lot to a little, and Furman's going to come back to North Carolina, and we're all going to road trip and watch them win the Natty, so can't wait.
And what a send-off that would be in Doug Allison's 3-decade-long career. And Rick, in your area, he's still, I believe, the all-time Gamecocks leading scorer as a player in men's soccer history. So he's got a career spanning the entire state. And he did say in his last game, his final home game in Greenville, hosting Hofstra in the Sweet 16 round that went to penalty kicks, he grew a few more gray hairs about that one. So might as well keep this great run continuing.
Yeah, he doesn't look much different than, from his playing days here. Look at him right away and said, wow, yeah, holding up nicely. Hope they can win it all.
Carmine, tell me you've been taking notes and all this stuff to get ready to write this movie for when Furman goes and gets to the Final Four and wins a national championship in his last season.
I mean, you know what's great? I have been, and you can't write this stuff. I mean, that's one of the great reasons we love sports is because it's just the greatest drama unfolding right before your eyes. And it reminds me of the documentary that actually was made on Amazon Prime about the Furman men's basketball team's run, winning the SoCon championship, upsetting Virginia just a couple years ago. So really cool. Dreams coming true there, dreams coming true on signing day. And then, Rick, we'll have to wait and see how this offensive staff for South Carolina gets assembled for football.
Yeah, the fans really want to know because this offense this season, it was, let's face it, it was pretty bad most of the year. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Palmetto Sports Daily. Have a great evening, everyone.